Good afternoon, children. I think you have written the test well. And here is your social studies teacher, Mrs. Sumati, is starting a new chapter, that is 11th chapter, New Kings and Kingdoms. Till now you have studied the geography. Now it's the time till our history. Okay. So, and new kings or kingdoms, when it's founded, who are the new kings, who came or who ascended the kingdoms, this all we are going to learn. History is very interesting. Am I correct? Now, the topics to be covered in this chapter are the emergence of new dynasties, prashastis and the land grants, administration in the kingdoms, warfare for wealth, Muhammad Ghazni, Chahmanas, the Cholas, from Warrior to Tanjavur, splendid temples and bronze sculpture, agriculture and irrigation, the administration of the empire. These all we are covering the topics in this chapter, and now I am starting the emergence of new dynasties. Actually, many new dynasties started newly emerged after the 7th century. If you see that our Indian history from 7th century to 12th century, we can see that many of those new dynasties were established or came into power in the different parts of the subcontinent. By the 7th century, there were big landlords, warriors, chiefs, and different regions of the subcontinent. We can see big landlords are there, even warrior chiefs are there, and existing kings also often acknowledge them as their subordinates. Actually, those who are the existing kings are there already. Those who what they made it for the big landlords or the warrior chiefs, they made them as those are subordinates of those kings or samantas of those kings. They acknowledged it, means they felt that. Of course, they made them. They are expected to bring gifts for their kings or overlords. Why they made such a way? Because the big landlords or the warrior chiefs always used to bring the gifts for the kings, and they used to present their in their courts. So provide them with military support also. Suppose warrior chiefs are there, means they used to provide military support. Our big landlords used to provide the gifts and all. So as Samantas gained the power and wealth, they declared themselves to be the Mahasamanta, Mahamandaleshwara, or the other names or other surnames they made it. That is the great lord of a circular the region, means that particular area they used to call as the Mahasamanta, Mahamandaleshwara, like that. Because when the Samantas used to get that somewhat of the power and wealth, they themselves only they declared. Mahasamanta means somewhat better than the Samanta. Sometimes they asserted their independence from their overlords. Sometimes what they have done, if they felt that they grew in power and wealth, automatically they want to declare themselves as the independent ruler. Means they want to separate from the king under which king they were there. One such instance was that of the Rashtrakutas in the Deccan. It's happened among the Rashtrakutas. One of the incidents took place. What is that? Initially, those Rashtrakutas were the subordinates, means under the rulers of the Chalukyas of Karnataka. Chalukyas of Karnataka means their capital was Badami, and Chalukyas were the powerful at that time in Karnataka. In the middle 8th century, the person Dantidurga, actually he is the founder of the Rashtrakuta dynasty. He is the one of the chief of the Chalukyas. But he announced as a king, as a Rashtrakuta chief, and he overthrew the Chalukyas. He didn't obey the Chalukyas and performed a ritual that is called Hiranyagarbha. That means literally the golden womb. Hiranyagarbha means the golden womb. When this ritual was performed with the help of Brahmanas, actually the Dantadurga is a Rashtrakuta chief. He performed that ritual, that is the Hiranyagarbha, by with actually with the, he took the help of the Brahmins. It was thought to lead to the rebirth. That means when he followed that Hiranyagarbha ritual, that it is called that as a, he took that, means when he is following a ritual, it is called the rebirth of the sacrificer, means who is sacrificing the, for the person it is a rebirth as a Kshatriya. Even if he was not one by birth, that means he is not a Kshatriya, but when he follows this ritual, then he himself used to call as a Kshatriya, that is a rebirth to him as a Kshatriya. See, this is the Rashtrakuta construction, totally on one stone it is carved. Actually this is the Ellora cave, Kailashnath temple. Okay, totally inside here it is the Lord Shiva, that is the linga used to be. This is totally temple. Okay. Okay, now in other cases, men from enterprising families used their military skills to carve out kingdoms. Another side, not only such a person, those who are the chiefs announced as kings are the rulers. Other side, if you see that those who are the rich families are there, or maybe with the business people, those families also used their military skill to carve out kingdoms. Means they used their skills in the warfare. They want to become as the kings. So at that time what happened? The Kadamba Mayura Sharman and the Gurjara Pratihara Harishchandra, these both were Brahmins who gave up their traditional profession. Actually Brahmins means, you know what, you know, rituals, performing that and chanting mantras and all they used to follow. But even they left that as per their traditional profession and they took up the kingdom to rule. That is two persons, these both are Brahmins only, Kadamba Mayura Sharman and Gurjara Pratihara Harishchandra, and took the arms and successfully established their kingdoms. And Kadamba Mayura Sharman ruled from Karnataka, Harishchandra ruled from Rajasthan. Okay, Prashastis and land grants. Actually, what are Prashastis? The invocation part of an inscription is Prashasti. Means whatever the important one thing is mentioned, which is on the inscriptions. Already we studied in the 6th class Ashokan inscriptions. That means on the stone carved the stories or whatever the happened story in the past. So that such a praising inscription is called Prashasti. Prashastis contain details about the ruling families, such as their precedents and the period to which they belong, means from whom they belonged, and what are they continued, what are their winnings, how they ascended the throne, what they followed. These are all they used to mention. They also contain exaggerated accounts of rulers and achievements. Whatever the rules and extraordinary, whatever they followed in their period of ruling time, and whatever they achieved, those are all they used to mention in the Prashastis. But they tell us how rulers wanted to depict themselves as, for example, valiant, victorious, warriors. Actually, in this what they used to say that how rulers wanted to depict themselves, means actually those were engraved on that stone inscriptions, because that they should come to know that how the ruler should be there. That is, always he should be helpful, or maybe always maybe he follows the wars, or such a ruler maybe he is the valiant or the victorious warriors, or maybe a violent person or a valiant person or victorious, means how many wars he won, what are the qualities of the person. These are all mentioned in this. These were composed by learned Brahmanas. The inscriptions also actually composed, means written by the Brahmanas. Afterwards those were engraved actually and carved, who occasionally helped in the administration. Sometimes occasionally the Brahmins were helped, and those were composed by the Brahmins about their ruler. See, these are the prashastis mostly which you can see in the books. Okay, this is actually, we don't know the language, but some more prashastis also there that I'll show you. The achievements of Nagabhatta were mentioned. One of the ruler is the Nagabhatta. About him, one of the prashasti was there in the Gwalior. What it's mentioned in that prashasti, we are going to learn. One prashasti written in Sanskrit, and it is found in the Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. It is describes about the exploits of the Nagabhatta. He is the Pratihara king. What he exploited, how he ruled, or what are the kingdoms he occupied. The kings of Andhra, Saindhava means Sindh, Vidarbha means part of Maharashtra, Kalinga means Orissa. Those all fell before him, even as he was a prince. Even as he is the prince also, these all kings, means all the kingdoms automatically followed Nagabhatta. See, these are the prashastis on copper plates. Okay, I will say that previous works and those on palm leaves and all, but this is on the copper plates. He won a victory over Chakrayuddha. Actually, he won a victory, means won the war. That name of the war, it is called Chakrayuddha. Actually, he won the victory on the ruler of Kanauj. Kanauj means it is at present Punjab. He defeated the king of Vanga, that is in Bengal, Anartha in Gujarat, Malwa, it is in Madhya Pradesh, Kirata in forest peoples, and Turushka means Turks, Vatsa, Matsya, these are all North Indian kingdoms. Okay, these all kingdoms he defeated, and he occupied, or he ascended the throne. Of course, already ascended the throne. He conquered these all. Kings often rewarded Brahmins by grants of land. And not only the victories, even kings also always used to provide the rewards. That means as gifts to the Brahmins, as land grants also used to be given. Actually, these land grants, or the land whatever it is provided as a gift to Brahmins, were recorded on copper plates, which were given to those who received the land. Actually, those were given by the king, and those lands, what are the records from where to where, that boundaries and all, how much area it is given, those are all were made it into actually a records on the copper plates. In 12th century, a long Sanskrit poem which is containing the history of kings who ruled over Kashmir. Actually, about the Kashmir, who ruled Kashmir in 12th century, a long Sanskrit poem was written by one of the person. Actually, it was composed by him. His name was called Kalhana. The name of the book is Raja Tarangini. Okay. In that book, he mentioned about the Kashmir. He used a variety of sources. From where he got the information when he mentioned about the Kashmir and their rulers and all? Actually, those are all sources. He got it from the inscriptions and some of the documents. Those are the books written, and even eyewitnesses of accounts. That means those who are elderly persons who know about the stories. From them he found many of those things, whatever it's happened. And earlier histories also. Those all he found. Then these are all became actually sources. Then he wrote that about the Kashmir. Unlike the writers of the Prashastis, actual Prashastis means about the person, what are the kingdoms he occupied or conquered, and those are all how great he, the personality, that the king, it is mentioned. Actually, in the Prashastis it's mentioned like that, but he is not like that, he is different. He often critical about rulers and their policies means whatever the totally depth of those rulers and their policies, what they followed, how they ruled their kingdom, these are all he mentioned in his book. What was given with the land? Actually, this is the part of Tamil section of the land grant given by the Cholas. Cholas ruled from Tamil Nadu. Okay, so that's why in the land, what was given with the land means in the Tamil section it is mentioned that we had demarcated the boundaries of the land by making earthen embankments as well as by planting thorny bushes. Whatever the land is provided to the Brahmins, those were marked it with actually with the soil, or that those made it as a boundary, that is embankment it is called. At the same time, not only that, they followed that planting some thorny bushes. Those are actually one of the boundary for that land. This is what the land contains. Actually, boundaries to mention it, not only thorny bushes or the embankments, they used to mention that fruit bearing trees, waterlands or gardens, orchards, trees, wells, open spaces, otherwise pasture lands, or that may be so and so that village to this village, anthills, platforms, canals, ditches, rivers, silt laden lands, tanks, granaries, fish ponds, beehives, deep lakes. Suppose there here that left side from the palm tree to right side till the coconut tree, like that they used to mention the boundaries in those days. And who receives the land can collect the taxes from it. Of course, he who receives the land can collect the tax also. Even he can collect the taxes which are imposed by the judicial officers as the fines. Actually, judicial officers means those who are like the courts, whoever used to act as a courts, officers of the courts, when they imposed as a fine, that fine also used to be collected by them. And the tax on the betel leaves, no, palm leaves, they used to collect the tax on betel leaves, that on woven cloth as well as on vehicles also. Vehicles means you don't think it cars or bikes. At that time, only bullock carts or those tongas, those only. He can build large rooms with upper stories made of baked bricks. Even the person can collect the buildings also with large rooms, even upstairs also, floorings also, and those also constructed by baked bricks, means burnt bricks. He can get the large and small wells also. He can dig that wells also. He can plant the trees or the thorny bushes. If necessary, he can get canals also to be constructed for irrigation. Means whatever the land he got it, for that he can develop. He should ensure that water is not wasted. Even he is digging the canals or maybe constructing irrigational facilities, but he should not waste the water. And that embankments are built. Even compulsory he has to build the embankments. That means boundary like walls. Okay. Administration in the kingdoms. Many of those new kings were adopted high sounding titles. At that time, those who were announced Samantas or Mahasamantas used to announce they were the new kings and all. They used to make a titles. They themselves used to give those titles. Maharaja, Diraja, or the Tribhuvana Chakravarti, Raja Martanda. So many titles. Of course, I think you know that Chandramukhi movie you have seen that Raja Adiraja, Raja Martanda, Bahuparak, something they used to say. So like that they used to adopt themselves only, they used to give the titles. However, in spite of such claims, they often shared power with their Samantas. Even after getting those titles also, even they shared their powers along with the Samantas as well as with the associations of the peasants, means those are the group of farmers, traders, Brahmins, these are also. Okay, so they often shared their power to or with their Samantas, Brahmins, farmers, traders. In each of these kingdoms, resources were obtained from the producers. Actually, each kingdom, from where the resources they'll get it? From the producers. That is the peasants actually. Peasants means farmers, cattle keepers means animal herders, artisans, those who follow that bronze idols or other metallic idols, and those are all called artisans, who were often persuaded or compelled to surrender part of what they produce. Actually, they are insisted them to submit compulsory how much they are growing. From that, whatever the portion they use it to say that to provide to the person, that kingdom, they have to provide. That means maybe 1/5 part or 1/6 part or 1/3, whatever it is. It depends upon the king or the kingdom. Sometimes these were claimed as rent due to a lord who asserted that he owned the land. Actually, sometimes, mostly these were used to take the rent because as a lord who asserted that he owned the land. Actually, he owned that land. Whoever is working on that land, they should pay the rent because he became the owner now. That is the main thing. Revenue is also collected from traders. Means those who are the traders exporting and importing, from them also they used to collect the revenue. Revenue means tax. And these resources were used to finance the king's establishment. Whatever the tax or the revenue is they are collecting, that should be helpful to the king, that to continue his kingdom or to establish or to look after, as well as for the construction of temples or forts. Not only to improve his kingdom, even they want to construct the temples or construct the forts. These are also the helped, of course, the collected taxes. They were also used to fight wars. Even they used to fight the wars, which were in turn expected to lead to the acquisition of wealth in the form of plunder and access to land as well as trade routes. Actually, they also used to fight wars. In turn, they expected to get the wealth. Wherever they are going for the conquering the kingdom, if suppose that kingdom is defeated, these will be get the profits, that they can get the total wealth of that kingdom. And this form is called actually plunder. Plunder means to whom they defeat, they totally make them to squeeze money wise, and access to land as well as trade routes also. Even whatever the land under their control was, that also should be taken, and at the same time whatever the trade routes and trade links they follow, that also they used to take. The functionaries for collecting revenue were generally recruited from influential families. To collect the revenues, whom they appointed, those are all mostly rich families, or maybe influential families, or maybe those are the relatives of those kings, or maybe those are the relatives of the Samantas. The positions were often hereditary. Mostly the collection of revenue system also hereditary wise, means son, their son, their son, like that. And this was true about the army as well. Even army also the same system. In many cases, close relatives of the king held these positions. Relations of the totally close relatives of the king. That means king's close relatives also mostly have the position. That means to collect the revenue, they used to get the job. This is the time for assignment, Nana. You listen the lesson and do it carefully. That's all, children. We can meet tomorrow. Bye.